Okay, now let us study requirements and design. So whenever we say that requirements are going to be there, so it should be properly stated, and the design should be described how that it is going to be done. Requirements will say that properly it should be stated what is required. Then design, it should be described how that it is going to get executed on that, how it works on that. So here the system architecture may be designed to structure the requirements. Okay, so system architecture is designed to structure the requirements. What are the requirements are going there, that it is going to be requirements will be stated. So interoperator for the system, so it may generate design requirements. Specification is being, requirements is being given by the system architecture. So intermediate operator, which is going to design the design requirements. So use of the specific architecture, what is exactly that is required to specify non-functional requirements also it is going to be there. So that also it is going to be considered for the domain requirements. Okay, so finally the consequences of regularity requirements, those things also going to be considered for the requirements. Then so when these things are going to be there, and once it is properly, it is requirements are going to be collected and is designed, then which way that it should be specified, which language that we are going to use. So here natural language that we are going to use it, which is going to be get understood by the both the customer as well as the designer. So that type of languages that it should be used for the implementation, means the requirements writing that it should be used. Some guidelines are going to be there for the writing the requirements. First thing is that standard format should be there for the requirements. Then the language should be consistent and should be understandable by the both by the mandatory requirements, as well as you have to describe the requirements properly to understand the user as well as the developer. Next is some text are going to get highlighted properly, and by the important keys are going to be mentioned properly in that. Then avoid the use of computer jargons, nothing but now CPU I am going to tell. So it is central processing unit specifically that you should say. Nowadays in WhatsApp all jargons only. Okay, so instead of writing you, just you won't write single character U. Instead of YOU, you won't write U. Good morning, GM. So like that, so many things. Okay, for the smile, just smiley that you want to put claps. Okay, so to show something that all these things, some jargons it has been, will be going to write it. So it is very difficult to understand by the people. So you should avoid that. And whenever there is a requirement is going to be there, so explanation is required for that particular thing. Okay, what is the purpose of using this particular function over there, that you should be specified. So those things are the proper requirements, writing the requirements it is. Some problems are also going to be there with the natural language. Lack of clarity, the data cannot be properly, it is not going to be understood by the both user as well as developer. Confusions in the requirements, both it is going to be merged, functional and non-functional requirements are going to be merged. That time it is for the confusion. Then amalgamation, that is required, there are so many things are going to be clubbed together. different requirements are going to be clubbed together, expressed together, that time we can not able to understand for which function which is going to be the input and which is going to be the output. So questions will be more in that. So you should not express such a way that it may yields for this type of problems basically. Here's one example, it has been given again. Okay, one example I will take. So how clarity is going to be here, you can see the system shall accept, measure the blood sugar for and delivery insulin. Okay, this is for the insulin pump software, it has been written. The system shall measure the blood sugar and delivery insulin. First statement, if required, okay, every 10 minutes. It is not clear. It should measure, the system should measure the blood sugar and delivery insulin. If it is required, every 10 minutes that should loop. So here again some conflicts are there. Change in blood sugar are relatively slow. More frequent measurement is not necessary. It's unnecessary. It's not required. But what happens? If less frequently if it is going to be measured, it may leads to high blood sugar. Okay, so you should manage in such a way that the blood sugar should be maintained properly, and the thing is being given, that's okay. Now how will we going to specify the structure specification? That we will going to use 4 type of specifications here. One is form based specification, tablet based specification, use case based specification, then software requirements document. Here what do you mean by form based specification? You will be going to give the form and it should be specified over there, all the data. Example is here. Form based specification. Definitions of the functions properly should be entered. Then input and outputs. Outputs description should be there. Whether the output should be the next input, so where it should be, that it should be specified. Information is needed for the computation for the other entities. The input will be there, so that already it is computed, and next for the input this output is required, that is also going to be calculated in this, specified properly. You have to specify it. Then any descriptions that it is action is going to be taken if it is going to happen. For example, here is a mouse is there now. Okay, mouse pointer is there. When I take this mouse pointer on this information, so what action it is going to take? It should highlight, it should do some activity, so that event based actions are going to be considered in this or not, that it should be specified. Then pre and post conditions for any applications that will be want to write, then the pre and post conditions are going to be must. For insulin case, insulin pump case, okay, pre and post conditions. Pre conditions is nothing but if it is a low level insulin is there, immediately the action is going to be taken to give the insulin for some quantity. Okay, specified quantity will be there, 10 grams, 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, based on the applicability, the input. So preconditions are going to get tested. Then post conditions is if it is going to be more, so it should be reduced. It should be reduced. Okay, that you have to consider for the application. Then if any side effects are going to be there, if you are going to write this particular application, if side effects are going to be there for side functions, that it should be get executed over there also. Okay, so all these things are form based specifications. You will be going to give the information properly, should be filled, and the data is going to be considered for this. Here is the example for that. That's what it has been given in this. Okay, function is compute insulin dose. Okay, here is the application it is. SRS is being given, you see that. Okay. For which one is SRS?